G'day friends, Marty Ware here from Marty's Garden. Good to see you again. I want to talk about a little system that I created this summer that did really great. Absolutely exceptional actually. And it's so good, I'm so happy with it. I'm going to keep doing this over time because I know that it's going to save me space, time, money, and produce a lot of food. And I can do it with so many different types of crops and variations in season. And a part of it is to do with these grow bags, then also the bale gardening, which I've been doing, if you've been following on this channel over time, which basically you can do a no dig system. You don't have to always have the bales. And growing taller plants, your bottom story plant, and a medium story plant. So you're filling that space, you're getting good photosynthesis into the area, and you're shading anything that you need to down below. So how did I do it this summer? And if you're going into spring, well, this could be killer for you. And in Australia, going into autumn, you may also want to do other types of plants. It doesn't really matter. Just remember that when you're doing a type of companion planting, you want to plant what you cook together. That's the secret. If it doesn't cook together and it doesn't taste good together when you're cooking, it generally doesn't grow together. Like, say, a tomato and a basil and parsley. Those three combos, yeah, we cook them together. They grow exceptionally together. Now, what success did I have this summer, and what could you possibly look at going into next season doing this exact method or similar ones going into the autumn? As long as you've got, we'll talk about that hopefully coming up further in the video, right? We'll look into that a bit more. So what I've got here, the grow bag. Eggplants were growing in the grow bag, and I was just filling it full of compost. And then I've got my own chicken manure compost was then going on top, just feeding that. And as the bag was just falling down, and as it was sort of not rotting, but just breaking down more and more, I was just pouring it on top. And every time I watered, all that water and all that nutrient would leach down below into my no-dig garden system down below here, feeding in the first layer, which was my sweet potato, and then also the cucumbers, which you can see growing up here, up the okra, which is nearly finished, and then my taller plants is obviously my okra, right? And we're ready to save seeds for the okra now. Now, we got more than enough. We had 5 of these bags full of eggplants, the long ones, and more than enough for us here. We gave heaps away, and the people that were coming and getting compost here from me at Marty's Garden's been exceptional this season. Everyone's been so supportive. Thank you for that if you're one of those people coming and grabbing compost at my place in Mullumbimby. And so the cucumbers grow up the okra, and they're planted more towards sort of the end of the season once your okra gets a bit of height in them, because the okra stem's really strong, so they can just, and you can just guide them up a little bit. And you can see here, got some beautiful looking cucumber, and it's in that season where it's the most humid, so they're more susceptible to, you know, the powdery mildew. But because of all the airflow, the water can get away and the airflow can get in, and we're going to have little cucumbers are starting to form on them now. We've got some down below that we're harvesting first, and as they work their way up, it's just sensational, just absolutely brilliant. Now, as we're moving into autumn, what I can do now is I can leave those stalks in there because they're really strong. So once these cucumbers finish, or I've got some that don't have cucumbers on the side, we can run some different beans or some peas up them as well, and start planting into these grow bags different leafy greens like rocket arugula, you know, chards, anything to do sort of along those leafy greens, the brassica families, or you know, which is basically all the different Asian greens and things like that. And just same thing, just fill it up with a good quality mix of compost, and then just feed it on the top as it drops down, and just harvest away. And every time we're watering, it's just leaching down into the system down below, feeding the rest of the plants, and just going bonkers. And every time I've got a bit of extra spare compost, I just keep feeding the no-dig garden as well. So getting my layers up, building layers and building layers and building layers. That's really important. So in between each layer when you're coming along. So now is really a good time to do it wherever you are around the globe. Depending, you know, obviously we want the frost to be finishing if you're going into spring before you start doing that. But understand that as the soil's warming up, as the sun's coming out, days are getting longer, you're going to get more insect life coming out, more bird life coming out. And in organics, we really want to have that system starting to come alive and really start to getting photosynthesis down into the ground to build the microbes and the fungi and everything to start get going again. It's really exciting. So we're feeding the soil on top and layers. So a compost, a little bit of extra food, like some type of manure or something like that. And then we put our mulch over the top. And as we see that breaking down, we just do that again, we just do that again, we do that again, we do that again. And then over time, we need to observe what's going on with the sunlight, where the wind's coming from. We try and block the cool winds and trap that warm light. So a lot of time I've been building straight lines, like this is a straight line here. But if I was to do it again, I would build a more of a horseshoe curved shape like that and point it towards the sun where I want it to go. So here, the morning sun is the best, so point it more towards the east. I've got it pointing sort of more towards the north here. So the sun's coming over the top and going this way, which is still pretty good because I've got the house here protecting from the cool breezes and the backline fence. So it really does essentially work like a horseshoe, but not everyone has that. So if you sort of open in an area where, you know, you're more susceptible to winds and things like that, you build your horseshoe around like that, and you can put even little tiny shrubs and things, and like I put native foods and bush foods and things like that, and then the birds will come in behind, and you'll get the good insect life and the fungi and everything's building up underneath. So that would be the back part of this system, and then they're coming in and feeding on the insects and so basically doing what you don't need to do then, because you really want nature to be doing the work for you as much as possible. When you're feeding the soil, you're understanding the light, you're understanding the wind, where it's coming from, you're warming things up. Now, coming into winter, into autumn and winter here, I actually have another garden around the back, and we've got trees that block the winter sun, but the winter sun comes straight up the driveway from the west-northwest into another garden where we're building something similar to this, and it's in its first season, and it's done really, really well. So that's where we're going to be working on next. So just a breakdown on the system again. Remember, so if you get some grow bags, you've got your no-dig system, you're putting it around underneath your plants, you're growing your taller plants, and then you can look at other plants that can maybe climb up them and hold them, and then you've got your lower story plants down below. So it's essentially, it's a permaculture style garden with a mixture of companion planting and using that space accordingly, and understanding where the sunlight, the weather comes, and then feeding your soils. So I really believe that this piece of content, even though we're not magically walking around everywhere showing you all the stuff, it's gold. If you follow that system and follow what is growing in season and understand how to trap the light, build soils, and build the native wildlife and things like that. We've even got a little bird bath straight below here, and they come in and have a little bath, and then they might grab a few little grubs and things like that at the same time. So hopefully that's helped. If you've got anything you'd like to add, share it down below in the comments box. And it really is good to see you again. Have a great day. Happy gardening. These are great. I'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.